Brandy Glanville is making waves by turning to Mark Cuban and his cost-plus drug company to tackle the massive issue of ballooning medication expenses. This bold move has already triggered a significant drop in drug prices and is shaking up the way patients access essential treatments. We are breaking down exactly how this collaboration is changing the game for consumers who are tired of being overcharged by the standard system.
Never run out of battery again with the INIU portable charger, the slimmest 10,000 mAh power bank that keeps your devices charged on the go. Stay powered up wherever you go. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Mark Cuban is stepping out of the sports arena and into the thick of American industry to challenge the status quo with his unique brand of compassionate capitalism. He is tearing apart the complex incentives that fuel our healthcare system and using his influence to expose where money is being drained by inefficient middlemen. You need to hear how he is applying his maverick mindset to dismantle the structures that have defined business for decades. In a series of explosive statements, Mark Cuban has officially distanced himself from Kamala Harris and is now calling for a total overhaul of the healthcare industry. He is doubling down on his support for the Break Up Big Medicine Act, demanding that powerful pharmacy benefit managers be dismantled for the sake of the average patient. He is not holding back any punches as he takes on the biggest players in the medical space. Artificial intelligence is poised to redefine your career, as Mark Cuban predicts that smarter companies will soon start shortening the workweek without cutting your paycheck. He believes that by automating tedious tasks, AI will eventually give us more time back while maintaining the same productivity levels we see today. If you want to stay ahead of these massive shifts in the economy and technology, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel with the notifications turned on so you never miss a beat. Ever wonder what happens when a high-profile reality star teams up with a billionaire shark to take down Big Pharma? It sounds like the plot of a fever dream episode, but it is actually reality. Brandy Glanville just sparked a major conversation by turning to Mark Cuban's cost-plus drug company for help, and the results are shaking up the industry. By cutting out the middlemen and prioritizing transparency, Cuban's platform is proving that drug pricing doesn't have to be a predatory game. Seeing these costs plummet from nearly 12,000 rupees down to a fraction of that is more than just a win for Brandy. It is a wake-up call for a healthcare system that has been broken for far too long. It is refreshing to see tech-driven disruption actually putting power back into the hands of the patient. What do you think? Is this the future of medicine, or just a temporary fix? Hit that subscribe button to keep up with how tech is changing your world, and remember, sometimes the most unlikely alliances are the ones that finally force the system to change. What does it actually take to disrupt the most entrenched systems in America? If you ask Mark Cuban, he'll tell you it isn't about playing by the rules, it's about realizing the game itself is rigged. Cuban doesn't talk like a guy who's winding down into a quiet retirement. He talks like a man who is actively allergic to inefficiency. Whether it's professional sports, the broken mess of American healthcare, or the wild frontier of artificial intelligence, Cuban sees the same blueprint: leverage, misaligned incentives, and a lot of people benefiting from your confusion. Take the Dallas Mavericks. Most people see the courtside caricature, the animated owner living and dying with every possession. But Cuban views himself as a steward, not a king. He understands that the real value of a team isn't the ticker symbol or the arena name, it's the emotional bond with the fans. He puts it bluntly: no one throws a parade when Google has a good quarter. That passion is an economic engine, but it's also a blind spot for many. He warns that for the average athlete, the industry is a minefield of bad advice and short-term thinking. He's seen how the superstar narrative masks the financial reality for the thousands of players who aren't multimillionaires. But if sports is a game of passion, healthcare is a game of manufactured confusion. Cuban's move into the pharmaceutical space wasn't about being a doctor, it was about basic math. He found it unconscionable that a patient could walk into a pharmacy and have no clue what their medication would actually cost. So, he built the cost-plus drug company on a radical, disruptive premise: transparency. He realized that if you strip away the predatory layers of PBMs and complex insurance games, trust becomes your biggest competitive advantage. He calls it compassionate capitalism. It's the simple idea that you can be profitable while treating your customers like human beings instead of profit centers. Then there's the AI revolution. Cuban doesn't just see this as a fancy tech trend, he views it as the most impactful shift of our lifetime. He isn't interested in the sci-fi hype or the existential dread, he's looking at it as an equalizer. Whether it's a high school student in an underserved community using AI as a personal tutor or a small business owner using agentic AI to automate the soul-crushing tedium of invoice audits, the potential for margin growth is staggering. His advice to CEOs is simple. Treat these models as high-speed, imperfect analysts, keep your proprietary data under lock and key, and don't get left behind in the arms race. Ultimately, Cuban's philosophy is a masterclass in challenging the status quo. He strips away the jargon and the excuses to expose how incentives dictate every action. He's a man who has clearly thought about his legacy, once quipping that he wants to be remembered as a great guy who partied like a rock star and fixed healthcare. So here is the takeaway. Don't just admire the systems you work within, challenge them. Look for the opacity, find the leverage, and ask yourself who is actually benefiting from the complexity. The next big disruption isn't just coming, it's waiting for someone to stop accepting the way things have always been done. What system in your own life is due for a total, transparent overhaul? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the minds shaping our future. When a billionaire like Mark Cuban stops mincing words, Washington usually takes notice. And that is exactly what happened this week. During a healthcare summit in D.C., Cuban was asked the million-dollar question, would he support Kamala Harris for another presidential run? His answer was a blunt, one-word no. And when it came to her previous healthcare platform, he basically waved it off, claiming those days are gone. Now, this is a major shift because Cuban isn't some random commentator. He was a celebrity surrogate for Harris not that long ago. It's a classic case of a political alliance cooling off, but why? Well, for Cuban, the answer is simple. It's all about the broken healthcare system. He's tired of the status quo and isn't shy about using some colorful language to describe how messed up he thinks the current industry is. In fact, he's throwing his weight behind the Break Up Big Medicine Act, a bipartisan bill that would force companies like UPMC and Highmark to decouple their insurance and medical provider sides. But as Cuban puts it, there are a lot of wimps in Congress right now, and the bill isn't going anywhere fast. At the heart of his crusade is his war on pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs, the middlemen that act as the gatekeepers for drug prices. Cuban argues these giants have so much leverage that they actually hold more power over drug makers than the President of the United States does. Think about that for a second. Pharmaceutical companies are more afraid of these middlemen than they are of the Oval Office. It's a wild power dynamic that directly hits the wallets of everyday Americans. While Cuban is heading to Pittsburgh this week to talk about AI and innovation, his message remains clear. He's done playing the political games of the past. He wants disruption, he wants competition, and he wants the FTC and Justice Department to stop watching from the sidelines and start breaking these monopolies up. So, what do you think? Is Mark Cuban the disruptor the healthcare industry desperately needs, or is he just another billionaire loudmouth? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear your take. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that actually matter. Stay skeptical, and I'll see you in the next one. Imagine walking into your office an hour later every single day, collecting the exact same paycheck, and having the boss actually thank you for it. Sound like a dream? Well, billionaire entrepreneur Mark Cuban thinks it is the near-future reality of an AI-driven workforce. Cuban recently took to social media to predict that smart, competitive companies will soon start slashing daily work hours, not by cutting pay, but by leveraging AI to do the heavy lifting. But is this a genuine revolution in work-life balance, or just wishful thinking? Let's break it down. It's not just Cuban making these waves. Even Wall Street heavyweights like J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon are predicting a future where we move toward a 3.5-day workweek, painting a picture of a world where technology finally gives us our time back. And the data backs up the sentiment. Goldman Sachs research suggests AI could automate a massive quarter of all work hours, potentially acting as a catalyst for a 4-day week, much like the pandemic accelerated remote work. Now, here is the million-dollar question. What happens to your bank account? For many, the transition to a 32-hour week doesn't necessarily mean a pay cut. Experts often point out that when productivity spikes, salaries remain stable. However, the catch lies in the fine print, specifically for hourly workers or those whose benefit packages might get trimmed in the form of reduced paid time off. If your hours and your income do take a hit, it might be time to diversify. Think of side hustles not just as extra cash, but as your own personal insurance policy against changing labor markets. Whether you are freelancing, pet sitting, or diving into passive income, the goal is to own your time rather than just trading it. So, do you think AI will finally free us from the 9-to-5 grind, or are we just shifting the goalposts? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button if you want more hours in your day, and don't forget to subscribe to stay ahead of the changing economy. After all, the future of work is coming fast. Are you ready to adapt?